Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spinner Rack. I'm here with my boy Cal. Say what's up, Cal.
Hey, what's going on? Ready to rock.
Hey, today we're going to be talking about Predator. Predator is finally making it into the Marvel Universe. Marvel's dropping some serious variant covers. So I'm going to look some of these over with Cal, talk to you guys about it. If you like what you see, give me some thumbs up, comment, and as always, subscribe. Please don't be hard on Cal when you're doing the comments, okay? So let's get into these covers right now. So, Cal, I'm going to bring up some images. You give us what do you think about some of the stuff that the Predator is finally making it into the Marvel Universe?
They're about 2 decades too late.
What? Here's a hot one with Miles Morales.
It looks kind of late.
Oh my goodness.
It's kind of late. It's too. Look at it. They decided to go for almost like a bust shot of both of them, and it looks like they're like draped in snow. That's a little late. They could have done better. It's supposed to be cloaking technology, but yeah,
cloaking technology right there.
But that's late. That's pretty late.
Do you think Miles Morales could? Do you think the Predator could take Miles Morales?
Easily.
Oh, I don't know about that. Here's another Fantastic Four. Ben Grimm. We have the whole Storm. What do you think about this?
Let me help you out, non-comic book reader. Okay, Ben Grimm, Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards, Susan Richards, the Invisible Woman, and Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. That's how you do it.
Oh yeah.
Against the Predator? I don't know. That seems like overkill. That could be kind of fun though if they do it like how the Black Panther took them all out when he first appeared in Fantastic Four 52.
This looks like a pretty awesome cover.
That's a good cover. That's a good cover. Nice, dynamic. That's a good cover.
This is done by one Jose Rip. Rip. It's pretty cool right there. Something to get. And then here it is, Valkyrie versus the.
A little late, a little airy.
Yeah, it's not like really getting into it.
It looks. I mean, look at that cover. Go back. Discuss the art with the people. Go back. Look at that cover. It's supposed to be what? Action, dynamic. It looks like they're on their way to heaven. It looks like they're on their way to heaven. It's supposed to be her attacking, but it looks more like they're shaking hands or something of this nature. Like, are you ready to go for tea? Yes, I'm ready to go for tea.
It doesn't feel
lightweight.
They're battling it out. I agree with you there. Here's the next one from Guardians of the Galaxy. Where you have the Predator in the background and you have the main characters in front. Nova. You have Gamora.
Okay, if you saw this cover, would you pick that book up to read it?
I kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy. I've been picking up some of those comics.
I'm not asking about Guardians of the Galaxy. If you saw that cover, would you pick up that book to read the story?
It doesn't jump at me. No, it doesn't.
That's a problem. That's a problem. The cover is supposed to draw you in. Not a good cover.
This one I find interesting. The cloaking technology. You see some action. You see.
Didn't we do this one already?
No, but I'm just showing you. This is the last one. That was it. We're done with those.
That was the first one. How's the first one the last one?
We went through all. The only other one I could say that makes any interest is this one here. With you have the Predator and then you have Spider-Man right behind. Now that looks pretty good too. That's a cover that I would love to see. That would automatically get me interested to look at it.
That's a good. That is a good cover. It's not art that I would necessarily like. I would prefer it to be a little bit tighter in terms of the pencils, the definition. But that's still a good cover, just for the pose, because you have the classic Spider-Man pose and the Predator there. That's a good cover. That's a good cover.
So I mean, one of the things that I thought about this, I was like, wow, they're finally going to put the Predator in the Marvel Universe, and of course they're definitely doing it by putting them as variant covers. But I'm like, bro, where's the story? These are just variant covers, Marvel saying you'll see stories later on, but I'm like, come on, man.
Well, what did you remember? They did this already with the aliens, because they had all these variant covers for the aliens, and some are good. I picked up the ones that I liked, or the ones for characters that I collect, but some are good, some weren't. So they're doing the same thing for the Predator, but these guys are. I don't know how well you followed it, but once Dark Horse had the aliens. Dark Horse had the aliens license, and then they had the Predator license. And once they had the aliens and the Predator license, it was kind of like a no-brainer for these guys. They were like, look, we got to get the Predator. We got to get the Predator, the ultimate hunter, to fight against the ultimate prey in the aliens. And they did that. And, they knocked out some really good stories with that. And at the same time, they were still doing they did a ton of Alien stories and a ton of Predator stories. But then they went a step further. They were like, well, hey, why can't we get these guys to go and face off with some of these other characters? Once they started doing the DC and Marvel crossovers, Dark Horse was like, hey, why don't we get some crossovers here? And of course, DC's like, who are you going to cross over with? You don't have any superheroes over there. They're like, why not the Predator? Why not the Alien? They're like, okay, let's see how it goes. And so I think the first one was Batman versus Predator, and that was good. That was good. Still stands up today, despite what some people, PD, may say. Still stands up today at the end of it. But then you had Superman versus Aliens, and I read that. I was like, well, how are they going to pull that off? It's Superman. Aliens can't do anything to Superman. He's just going to, but they came up with a good story. I was like, hey, this is good too. So they had a bunch of crossovers with the DC heroes. It was Aliens versus, you had Predator versus Batman. They did that 3 different times. Then Batman versus the Aliens. Then you had Superman versus the Predator. Then you had Superman versus the Aliens. Yeah, Superman versus Aliens too. Superman and Batman versus Aliens and Predator. The Predator versus the Justice League. It was, they really went for it. They really minded at the end of the day. I think they might have done one with Green Lantern and the Aliens. So they did a whole bunch of those. And for the most part, some were really good and some were really good stories, but overall they were just enjoyable. I think the worst might have been with the Predator versus the JLA. That might have been the worst one because that's just a hard one to pull off. But they did it. So now Marvel's got the license and you're like, okay, so what are they going to do? The low-hanging fruit, what's the one that everybody would want to see? Wolverine versus the Aliens. That's the one that would definitely get people in the seat. Spider-Man versus the Alien, that's like Spider-Man versus Kraven the Hunter, and Spider-Man has trouble with Kraven the Hunter. So we could definitely see him, taking an L to the Predators at the end of the day. But Wolverine versus the Alien, that one will definitely put bottoms in seats without a doubt.
So here's where we have the Amazing Spider-Man versus Aliens, the variant covers. We have Black Panther versus Aliens. We have the Black Widow versus Aliens. We have Black Cat versus Aliens. This all came out last year, by the way. So don't run to your comic book shop hoping to get it. Well, they could have back copies.
You think you can do a quick search? You can find Comics Interview 83. See if you can find that real quick, and we can show the people some of what people have been people have not necessarily not speculating too hard in the mind right now. It's coming off the tongue, but what people have been fantasizing about in terms of getting a Wolverine Aliens matchup. Let me know if you can find that.
Let me stop this here. So what's that comic?
Sorry, not Comics Interview 84. Comics Interview 84. Bring that up. Let the people say.
Comics Interview 84. Is that one word? So
yeah, now go, check images.
Right here?
Yeah, right there. There you go.
That would look interesting. So, I mean, they haven't done one of those variant covers yet, though, for Wolverine.
No, that was a cover, Sam Keith cover back, this is like late, it's like early 90s, early 90s cover. And of course, it's a book that sells pretty well right now because I think that's probably the only image you have of Wolverine and an alien. So, that book sells for like 30, 40, maybe a high point $50 right now. But that's one that would definitely, right there is a book that's been something that guys are like, oh man, who would win? Because you got the adamantium and the healing factor, but the aliens with the acid, and without a doubt, it's just a fight that you would love to see because of course Wolverine's not going to have to just fight one of them; he's going to have to fight a ton of them.
It's going from $7 right now, basically.
Hmm?
If it's still available, it's going for $7.
No, and look at the condition on that one. It says CFN. That's fine. So that's a low grade copy. A high grade copy, you're going to pay some money for.
Got it. Okay. Here's this one here. Try to get a better view. Yeah, Sam Keith. But this wasn't a Marvel comic. This was just a comics interview, like you said, right? So this they never actually had a cover with these two together in a Marvel comic as a variant or anything.
No, they couldn't. They didn't own the license.
Cool.
The closest they came to having anything with aliens in the Marvel universe were the Brood. When the X-Men fought the Brood and these aliens that would implant embryos, you would change into a Brood member. That was the closest they actually got to it. And Wolverine was the only one who was able to bypass it because his healing factor allowed him to fight off the embryo. But that was like a pseudo or alien analog, if you will. They never went up against the real deal.
Like this Thor cover here, they had it in the looks off the chain. Thor and his blazing eyes. I was like, wow, that looks pretty good. The Thor. Then you have, of course, Venom.
That's a good one.
That's a great one.
Painted art. That's a good one. That's a good one.
But here's the Wolverine one I'm talking about. That looks nice too.
That almost looks like they took it straight off the Sam Keith. That looks like they took it straight from the Sam Keith cover right there.
Chin on Wolverine on this one. So hey, question here. In terms of variants, does this make any buy a comic just for the variant art of the covers? Is that popular? Do people buy comics like that?
What, just for the variant art?
Just for the variant art. Or do you
Yeah, they've been doing that for a long time now.
Or is it that you need to get the whole collection for it to be worth anything?
What is your question?
Is getting one comic with a variant art, let's say like the Wolverine, is that something that people do versus getting the entire line of the variants?
You can do both. If you're a collector, you might say, if you're an aliens collector, I'm going to get all of them. Like I did that when they did Conan covers. I'm a Conan collector, so I got all the Conan covers because I just didn't want to wait. I didn't want to take a risk on, well, let me just buy the ones that I like and then find out, oh, well, this one shot up in value. And by that time I changed my mind. I want to get all of them and I got to pay $100 for that one because that somehow ended up being the rare book. So I just got all of them. Or, you just get the ones that you like. There used to be a way where you could go and you could approach certain sellers and say, look, I want to get all the covers. And they would give you a pretty good deal. So you could get all the covers and it didn't cost as much. And that would be affordable. I don't know if they still do stuff like that, but otherwise you go, you just buy the cover. You would just buy the cover that you like. Now, if you're buying it, hoping that it's going to rise in value, there's other parameters that come into it. But I always just recommend in those situations, just buy the one that you like and you'll be happy. That's a tough one. Let me speculate and see which one of these is going to go up in value because there's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, here there's like a bunch of them where you have like Captain America, you have Fantastic Four, the Conan, you got all 20. This is this is absolutely fantastic. Who did this? Ian Hill. That's a pretty good one, bro. I like that. Wow, that's powerful. Ultron, I don't know about that one.
Some were good, and some were light. That's the trouble because you'll look at a cover and you say, oh, you know what, that looks pretty light. I'm not going to buy it. And you come back 6 months, you're like, what do you mean it's $100? Well, I don't understand why. Oh, because that was the lowest printed issue or what have you, or there was some error in it. So you're always just better off just buy the one that you like in those type of situations rather than let me try to pick up which one I think is going to jump in value. Because if you're going to look to do that, then you're probably better off just buying all of them and trying to make some arrangements so you can buy all of them.
Okay, cool. So I think, hey, this has been a pretty informative review in terms of the variant covers for the upcoming Predator, and also learning more once again from our comic book superhero himself about the value of different variants, in terms of, whether they get one or get all, or what he suggests you should do. So I say, hey, everybody, thanks once again for showing up to Spinner Rack. Again, if you like, subscribe, comment, we always want, and give us a thumb up. We always like to hear from you guys. Cal?
Spinner Rack out.
Thank you very much, guys.